All right. Thank you so much for agreeing to participate in the Lily Mae Francis interview on depression and mental health. I'll first start by introducing myself. I am Lynn Collins Mai, co-founder of Lily Mae Francis Foundation. And what is your name?
Hi, Miss Mighty. My name is Candy, and I am 76, and I live in Ohio.
Okay. All right. So if you don't mind, I'll jump right in. Okay.
Go right
First
ahead.
question is, what is your definition of depression?
My personal definition of depression is when you're feeling really sad and down, and no matter what you do, even if are a spiritual person, you just cannot make that dark cloud go away that seems to be hanging over you.
Okay. Do you think most people experience depression from time to time?
In my experience, I believe that most people do experience it, but not to the same degree.
Hmm. Okay. I like that answer. Okay. Do you personally experience depression? And if so, how do you cope?
Well, actually, I'm not sure if I would call it depression because usually I can, especially as I get older, because of my spiritual resources and meditation, I can actually uh, bring myself out of it. So I believe with my definition of classic depression, you can't, no matter what you do, you can't bring yourself out. So I think that and I, like everybody else, I'm not always happy. I have my sad times or gloomy times, but I don't know if it meets the definition of depression.
Okay. So you did say that when you are feeling depressed, let's say that the thing that you do to help you through that feeling is meditate, correct?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Okay. Do you think enough attention and focus is given to mental illness and why?
I don't think that enough attention is given to it because I'm going to say in the Black culture, it's there's the belief that if you just try hard enough and you concentrate and you meditate, that you can overcome it. And there are some people, no matter how hard they try, they can't overcome it.
Mhm.
So that's an issue, I think, for 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 African Americans, especially, and that's who I have most of my experience with.
Mhm. So that kind of brings me to one of the other questions that I had. So I'll jump to that one. Why do you think there's such a stigma attached to depression and mental health in our community?
I, I think it just goes back to uh, maybe our people have always been suspicious of the medical community anyway,
Mm.
and I think we are a resilient people. So we've been taught that if you're strong, you can overcome anything. So we take that to heart, and some people take it to heart, and they are even more depressed because they can't bring themselves out. They're wondering like, I'm supposed to be able to overcome this, but I can't. So
Mhm.
that even adds to that depressive mood, I think. So,
So I guess, and so you said something about, typically we are resilient people and we're strong. So I guess that means that basically in somewhere in our culture, we believe that mental illness is a weakness or it can be considered a weakness, right?
you know what? I would totally agree with that. That in our culture, I believe that's true,
Hmm.
and that's why many people, I think it's starting to change, but many people hide if they are in therapy because they consider that a sign of weakness. They feel like if you go to church and you listen to the sermons and you do your Bible study and you pray as pray sincerely that depression should lift. And for some people, it doesn't because I believe and for some people, it's a medical issue.
Hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
mhm.
Okay. If you had a friend or a loved one that was experiencing depression or some sign of mental illness, what advice would you give?
Well, my advice would be to try to get help. And now we do have a group of therapists who who are African American, who do have. I know of one myself who has a Christian perspective, and that's what she tells all her clients.
Mhm.
So if you are down on yourself because you are a Christian and you can't pull yourself out of this depression, it's great that there is now the availability of people in the medical field who share your cultural beliefs, who have your same background, and they come to help you with a Christian perspective. So I would advise the person who has that issue of dealing with depression to seek out help, but you have to seek it from the right therapist.
Okay.
Every therapist will not be correct for our
Okay.
people.
So meaning basically, let's try therapy, right? But don't just give up because the first therapist that you go to may not have been a good fit, right? It may not have been that
Right.
therapy wasn't for you. That therapist just wasn't good.
Right. You have to
A good
find
fit
the
for you.
person that can help you.
Right. Okay. All right. Do you know where to find resources if someone was having a mental health crisis?
Well, you know what? Actually, I was with a group and we actually had some discussion about this, and I was given a list
Mm,
of medical professionals. Now, right now, I can't put my hands on it, but I do have it here. A list of African American therapists.
okay. And I don't think that's typical, right? Most people
No, it's not
wouldn't
typical.
have a list like that, right? That
Mm.
wouldn't know where to go or who to call. And so I think that it probably makes sense for that because everybody knows who to call for a medical emergency, right? We all know call 911, right?
Mhm.
So I think that it probably would be beneficial for us to get the word out of where we should call if one of our loved ones is having a mental health crisis.
Right, because in our community, I don't know what the numbers are, but I'm in my heart, I feel that there is a significant number of suicides among our people in our culture because of depression. So
Because of
I
depression?
don't have any, facts to
Oh,
back
yeah.
it up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. How do you think we can start having regular conversations as it pertains to mental health in general?
So in general, it's that's going to be difficult. We we should take the opportunity when we have family gatherings, even like I know we have family reunions, and we do this. We also when we host, we also always give out information about medical issues and how
Mm,
to stay healthy. But we always stress the physical side of it. So
mm,
we need to start doing more to address the mental part of being fit, mentally fit,
mhm, mhm.
so that it's not taboo like it used to be. That it's part of the conversation, and people will feel more comfortable in sharing that they're suffering, and then they can get help from people who know where to get the help from.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point to say that because I think it starts with family, right? Having these
Mm-hmm.
conversations because oftentimes somebody's struggling and that we don't know it. I think the face of the people's thought of the face of depression is somebody that appears outwardly to be sad. It's not necessarily always the case. Somebody is very good at hiding what they're really feeling, right? And making themselves look like they um, feel great and they don't. And so I
Right.
think that is great to say that, yes, we should start with family just to have these open conversations and not necessarily to put anybody on the spot, but to make sure that people have the coping mechanisms, the skills, the resources to make sure that if they encounter a crisis or someone having a crisis, they know exactly what to do because it's been a conversation that they've had regularly. So,
Right, and like you said, you can't always tell just by looking at the person or having a conversation because they are really, really good at hiding it from the world. So
yeah,
uh, sometimes after the fact, people will say, "Well, I didn't know
yeah,
that they were having issues. They seem to be always doing well, or
right.
they seem to be happy." So,
Okay. That's actually all of the questions I have for you. really appreciate your input, your feedback, your knowledge about this topic, and your willingness to share it. So, is there anything else you want to add before we conclude our interview?
No, but I like what you said about we all need to do more to make sure this conversation is a part of our topics in our family.
Mhm.
So we just all need to make a conscious effort to make sure that happens.
Okay. Well, Candy, thank you so much for giving us your time today. I truly appreciate your participation, and you'll get some feedback later from us. So,
Oh,
thank
thank
you.
you, Ms. Mayi. Thank you for having me.
All right. You have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.